væsker. So, thank you very much for your interest in MPI, or Medical Prognosis Institute. I've been looking very much forward to present the company to you. At MPI, we work with a technology. It's big data technology, it's mathematics, it's algorithms. And what we do is that we match patients to the correct anti-cancer drugs. I'm going to tell you exactly what we do at MPI, why we do it, and how we reach our goals. I will start by telling you a little story about how Peter Bull-Jensen, who is our CEO, and we worked in a company called TurboTarget, and in TurboTarget we had a drug called belinostat. It was a cancer drug, and in cancer drug development, you very often run your drug in many different cancer indications to find out which of the indications, which cancer disease the drug is most effective in. And we had a visit from a Professor Sten Knudsen from our local technology university, and he said that he knew which patients would respond to belinostat. And we actually thought it was a little bit annoying because we were running 22 clinical trials with belinostat, and actually we also thought we were quite good at what we were doing, so we thought we had the right technology. So Peter is going to tell you, he will present an oncology venture that uses the technology to develop drugs. He will tell you what the outcome was when he had a conversation with Sten about that. But one of the things we did, we actually thought we wanted to test him because we thought that his results were very remarkable. And we said, well, we're actually running a trial in Germany in leukemia patients. We will give you the gene signatures of those patients, and you can blinded tell us who of those patients, individual patients, you think should respond to the drug. So he did that. There were 13 patients, so it was a small trial. And the top 4 patients, those 4 patients he ranked as most sensitive, were actually the patients that responded to the drug. At that time point, we didn't really know exactly how to move on. But later, when we stopped at TurboTarget, Sten came and asked Peter, would he be the CEO of MPI? And Peter said, well, I need to make sure that it's not only belinostat that your technology works for. I need to understand better exactly how it works for all the other drugs. And since we're here, I guess you can guess what the result was of that investigation. I will now show you a small video that explains what it is the technology does. No?
Hello, I'm Dr. B. Successfully treating cancer is a complex process. Cancer doctors and patients need to access the most precise information available to decide on the best treatment personalized for each patient. With the great advancement in genomics technology today, a vast amount of new cancer-related information has become available. But deciphering all this data has made it harder for doctors to make swift and precise cancer treatment decisions for patients in distress. Now, with MPI's Drug Response Predictor, we develop a tool to empower doctors and their patients by using our highly validated gene technology platform that interfaces with the patient's genomic information to help them decide on the best personalized cancer treatments. Here's how the Drug Response Predictor works. First, we take the patient's cancer into our DRP platform to unlock all the relevant and useful genetic information on how the cancer operates. Once this information is unlocked, the DRP goes deeper into the tumor to gather higher resolution knowledge by reading and translating the cell messages. The system's smart engine filters out information noise to emphasize what is clinically relevant. Then the DRP platform scientifically correlates the information against medical big data, drug-specific efficacy on cancer cells, and the historical data of other cancer patients to determine drug-specific information that fits like a puzzle with the patient's cancer. It's like using multiple high-resolution cameras that allow the system to see the different contextual activities of the tumour from all angles to gain high-quality insight correlations. All this data concerning the patient's cancer, drug information and historical clinical data are then superimposed with one another by the DRP platform to reveal the significant data patterns and derive compounded information specific to precisely treat the patient's cancer. The outcome is an easy-to-use drug response prediction report that outlines all relevant and personalised treatments in one place with precise information for doctors and enables the patient to participate in an informed and rationalised way. Let's talk to see how MPI's drug response predictor can improve outcomes for cancer patients and improve efficacy of anti-cancer drugs.
So, thank you, Dr. B. Why is it important to get more effective cancer treatment? Is there really a need? These are numbers from a report from the American health authorities, and as you can see, it ranks different diseases, and at the very bottom is cancer. And what it says is that 75% of patients get an ineffective drug. And that is actually drug. It's not radiation, it's not surgery. And exactly what ineffective is, I mean, sometimes a drug can also keep a disease stable, and I guess that is part of the ineffective drug. But as you can see, there's a huge medical need. There's a need for new tools in cancer treatment. So, traditionally, drugs have been developed like we did in TurboTarget with belinostat. Having one drug, one treatment fits all patients. And the way of thinking, the future is to identify those patients that are sensitive to the drug, or the other way around, as we do in MPI, find those drugs that are actually most likely effective for the patient. Cancer is a disease in the genome. All tumors are different, all patients are different, and that actually makes cancer personal. We are not taking that into consideration the way we develop drugs today. At MPI, our ambition is that the cancer patient will get the most effective treatment. Our first product is under development for breast cancer. We need a tumor biopsy. We can actually use a biopsy that is already at the pathologist from the time that the patient is diagnosed, meaning that we do not have to ask the patient to stitch or cut again. Under development, and the next product we expect to have on market will be for prostate cancer. But our technology actually works for many different cancer diseases, so we will of course develop for further. Our ambition is, as you also saw in the video, that we can actually empower the doctor and the patient to take more informed and precise decisions when the patient treatment is decided. We hope that we can develop a report that ranks the different treatment opportunities, so that not just to get the right treatment first, but definitely also to avoid those treatments that will only give the patient side effects and take away time where the patient should actually have an effective treatment. So as it is today, doctors actually have many drugs to treat from, and there's no technology today where you can actually get guidance to see this individual patient sitting right in front of me now, which drug would actually be the most effective. You have to rely on historical data, on data that are done on studies in the past. And there are also other really important key factors for using our technology. As of today, new cancer drugs have exceeded more than $10,000 per month per patient. That's really a lot of money. We know that drugs are approved for hard-to-treat cancers with effect of only 20 to 30%, and that's really not good enough. We need to improve those numbers. We also know that less than 2.5% of those drugs under development actually reach approval, and that's certainly a pity, because a lot of drugs actually show effect in some patients, but just not in a pattern that we can see today that could find out exactly who would benefit. And that is exactly what our technology can do. So those drugs that are just not developed could actually benefit some patients. So Professor Knudsen came to us in 2008, and he had actually started his work already back in 2004. So he's really diligently worked his way through 32 studies, whereof 29 of those actually have a really significant p-value, meaning that he can predict which patients and which drugs are effective and how the match should be. That is really solid scientific data, and of course they have to be proven in prospective clinical trials in Oncology Venture. And the setup we are running in MPI, where we do personalized medicine or precision medicine, we of course need to check that the data in the real life going forward is matching what Professor Knudsen has done here. So, as I said, at MPI, we are developing a tool that can help the doctor and the patient identify which treatment the individual patient should have. At Oncology Venture, we use the same technology to identify those patients that will be high likelihood responders to the drugs that we are developing, and you can hear more about that right after my lecture. So what's in it for MPI that Oncology Venture actually uses the technology that comes from MPI? Well, MPI owns 10% of the shares in Oncology Venture. MPI also gets 10% royalty of incomes from Oncology Venture. And of course, the ongoing studies in Oncology Venture is validating MPI's technology. So the other products on the market is of course the breast cancer DRP that I told you about, that we're developing, the prostate cancer we're developing, and there will be other drugs following that, of course. Then you have the MPI products that will help validate the Oncology Venture products that will help validate the MPI technology. And Oncology Venture has recently spun out a women's cancer company called 2X Oncology. And in 2X Oncology, we will also have 3 products. So there will be income from that, of course, and royalty, and of course also validating the technology. So what is actually the competition on market? As it is today, there is no real direct benchmark. So there are companies working with looking into patients' genes, but what they are doing is actually to say, does this patient need chemotherapy? Or is it a non-aggressive tumor? Could we actually stop just doing the surgery or just doing the radiation and then avoid the chemotherapy? Our technology can show you, if the patient needs the chemotherapy, exactly which treatment would be the high likely effective treatment. So this analysis is done on the basis of the largest cancer organization in the US called ASCO. And as you can see, the other companies are working with prognostic, meaning that does a patient need a treatment or not. So we are actually quite uniquely alone in the field here, being able to identify which treatment should be the best for the patient. So what kind of business is the diagnostic field? Well, this is, as I said, there's no direct competitors. So this company also works with prognosticators. But as you can see, when they take a test, they charge $3,400. And in our model, we work with charging around $3,000. They have a margin on around 80%, and that is also what we are aiming for. This is also a big business in other terms. In 2015, this company earned $287 million, and the market value was $962. So a few details on the shares. So the company was formed in 2004 by Professor Knudsen. First, we were listed at the Nasdaq in Copenhagen, so that is why you see Danish kroner at the top. We decided to move to Sweden because you have a very effective share market, and certainly we've been really happy and thankful for the support from investors at the Swedish market. We moved to First North and introduced in Sweden and introduced to 7 Swedish kroner, and at closing hours Friday we were 18.7 Swedish kroner. So we've had a really positive and good share development. Our market value is approximately $430 million. We burn around 1 million Swedish kroner a month, and at our half-year report we announced that we have 9.5 million Swedish kroner. This is the oncology venture share. You see the share development. This screenshot was taken Friday, and this is MPI's market value and share development. So I want to finish by saying that our goal at MPI is to help cancer patients get the right treatment first time. We believe that we have a really interesting and very scientific validated tool to actually do that. We want to create a global business. We have a unique market access, or we have a unique access in Denmark and Sweden to actually develop this kind of technologies because we have such good track on our patients. Our hospital systems are very well organized. We keep the biopsies at the pathologist, and we have a very good scientific system also. Our ethics committees works well, our Lægemiddelstyrelse works well, and the patients can be asked, and the patients are actually quite willing to participate in clinical trials. We want to make the drug response prediction reports available, globally available, to empower cancer patients and their doctors. With this, I want to thank you very much for your attention, and questions are welcome.
Thank you. You can sit over here.
Tack.
Okay, thank you. So to get this going, you're doing personalized medicine, and why you're doing that? Because there's not enough effective cancer treatment, right? So a lot of people get the wrong medication, are treated with not effective drugs.
Yeah. Unfortunately, compared to let's say, medication for heart disorders. Medication normally work in the vast majority of patients, and normally it's few that get side effects. I think, unfortunately, it's the reverse in oncology and hematology. On an overall point, there's really room for improvement.
But this sounds like a very interesting opportunity for you. I mean, can you please tell me what kind of data do you have that now can show that your approach is effective, that your model really is working?
Yeah. So I think if you recall, I showed a table where 32 different clinical trials were listed. So what Professor Knudsen did was that he analyzed, for each trial, he analyzed the data, and on those trials, genetic information on the individual patients and response to the treatment was available. And he could actually blind it and then use his test to see if he could foresee which patients would be the responding patients. And in 80% of the cases, he was actually able to predict right. And that is really unique data.
What kind of studies is needed? How large does the studies need to be to validate your approach?
So we are currently running trials with drugs using the DRP technology in Oncology Venture. Those trials we can actually run really smoothly and very precise, because since we pre-screen the patients, we can run small focused trials, because the patients that are included are actually supposed to be high likely responders. So let's say we've included 10 patients and none of them respond. Then we have a problem. Then either the drug doesn't work or the DRP doesn't work. And the same, of course, goes for the products in MPI. We set up clinical trials, say 50-50, where you have doctor's choice, so what the doctors would normally do, and then in the other arm, you take decision based on the DRP.
Okay, so you've been on the stock market for about 6 months. Pretty good performance as well. How do you say that has changed the business in kind of transparency?
So first of all, I think the major difference from moving to the Swedish Stock Exchange is actually the interest from the investors, because you get questions, you get interest, the share is discussed, and that helps you explain your technology and your business model.
Like today.
Like today, yes.
I looked through your annual report, and I could see some really impressive revenue growth. I mean, from 2014 to 15, your revenue was growing with 35%. I mean, it's really good. So what was behind that jump in growth?
Yeah.
And does that explain the move in the share that we saw behind, perhaps?
Actually, that is explained of the success of Oncology Venture.
Okay.
So as you recall, there's collaboration between the two parties. So that is, it's a win-win.
Okay. At the same time, your margins are falling. Your revenue is growing, but your margins are falling, and your net loss is just getting bigger.
Yeah.
Why is that, and how will you turn that around?
That actually has a good explanation. So we had two different sets of chips. So the physical unit where the patient's biopsy is tested on, we had two different options of chips. So for some of the patient tests, we had both chips running to see which one we wanted to choose. So that is the explanation for that. So that has been solved.
So that's more like one-off cost that will not. So it's more like cost will not occur again.
Yeah, an optimization of the platform.
Yeah. Okej. Frågor från publiken? Någon som har någon?
No. Nej. If you have questions, you're always very welcome. Telephone numbers and email addresses on the homepage, and we also have a booth outside. So if you want to join us and ask questions, you're so welcome.
Okay, maybe I can just finish it up with one last question. So how does the future look like? What's in the pipeline? Do you have anything?
Yeah, so the pipeline is, first we will run tests for the breast cancer patients, so it will be a metastatic product. We expect that we will do what we call a soft launch to the Danish doctors, possibly also to the Swedish, on the metastatic breast cancer product, and that'll be in 2017, and then we will roll out from there.
Okay, exciting. Thank you very much.
Thank you.